Welcome to the Worth It podcast. I'm Megan Taylor, coach for the brilliant minds and the rare ones who are always growing. I have helped ambitious women and men, business owners and leaders from around the world with defining and expanding their unique work, having the relationship that they actually want, and creating the life that makes all of the work feel worth it. Every week on the podcast, we discuss the key pivots that I coach my clients on and the real work required in order to be a leader and the woman or the man that you're here to be. With that, let's get started. Hi guys, today's podcast interview is with Jessica Riverson. Jessica and I worked together about a year ago because she reached out to me after already having built a successful coaching business. She's been in business for over 20 years. She's an OG in the industry. She earns multi-six figures. She has clients who pay upwards of $75K to work with her. And she knew that she felt called to launch a brand new scaled offering that would help capture and deliver her work around feminine energy embodiment. She reached out to me and we worked together on developing F.E.M, which is the Feminine Energy Mastermind and Certification, a 90-day program. And really developing that and also getting it prepared to launch while also showing up as a next level leader in her life and in her business. Jessica was navigating a lot behind the scenes, as all business owners are. She was moving through perimenopause, relationship challenges, being a mom and being a CEO all at the same time. And so there was just a lot going on. So F.E.M, ultimately was an invitation for her to actually embody her next level leadership and her own feminine energy while also, walking her talk and launching this program out into the world. And it was such a slam dunk success. It's actually in its third round right now, and people love it so much that they're taking it again. So if you know that you are called to launch a new offering that embodies this next level work that maybe you're still in the process of embodying because you're a human being, come check this out. Jessica shares raw detail with more honesty than I think most leaders would, and you're really going to love this episode. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Worth It podcast with Megan Taylor. I have a very special guest today, Miss Jessica Riverson. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi. So Jessica is a former client of mine. We used to work together about a year ago, and I'm really excited to just do a review together of our work and what she's been up to. Jessica is the Priestess CEO, and she has been in the business for over 20 years doing coaching and business consulting, helping women to grow their businesses and do the inner work. I'm excited for you to share a little bit more about what it is that you do in your own words. So welcome, Jessica.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Yeah, so can you tell us a little bit more about your business, who you serve, what you do?
Yeah. So I kind of got started as a business coach, but definitely coming into it as someone who is very spiritual and wanted to use my spiritual gifts. And so I started immediately working with spiritual entrepreneurs, and I ended up kind of niching down to like coaches and healers. When I started, it was sort of like all women service providers, and so then it kind of evolved into healers and coaches. And the first thing that I really focused on, because I got certified as a money coach and was kind of, as an entrepreneur, I had a franchise business before, and I was like bumping up against a lot of my money blocks and being able to charge and can you really charge on the value of what you're offering? And so I created something called Permission to Charge. And that's kind of how I first started in the coaching industry, is helping coaches give themselves permission to charge and create profitable, successful, sustainable businesses. And then kind of like my journey evolved because I went through a lot of burnout. I was definitely building my business from this like hustle standpoint. And I don't know, this might be interesting to you because you're from Seattle too, like I am. And so I used to go to the Center for Spiritual Living in Seattle. I don't know if you
Yeah,
ever went there.
I have.
But one of Reverend Kathy Ann, one time, she was like, I don't know, she was giving some kind of sermon, and she was like, well, all these spiritual entrepreneurs, all you guys, you listen to God, and God tells you to start this business, and then you never listen again. When she said that, I just laughed, and I've always remembered it because I feel like I kind of did that, where it's like I started the business from this download. I knew this was my destiny. And then once I got into it, all of my success programming came to the surface, and I was very much in more of this kind of unhealthy masculine mode. I grew up playing sports, like get after the ball, Jessica, be aggressive, like go after it. And I'm so glad that I had that. But at the same time, I feel like it was so to the extreme that, there was parts of me I was kind of cutting off and shutting down and compartmentalizing, and my health was taking a back seat. Even spending time with my kids, I was really focused on my business because I wanted to be a successful provider. And, I was the main breadwinner. So I just kind of like approached my business from, yes, I wanted to help people. That was always at the forefront. So I was never sacrificing like actually helping people for making money, but I definitely was sacrificing everything else. It was like help people, make money, and then everything else was just felt like it kind of got neglected. And even though I was still spiritual and I was, it's not that I didn't listen to spirit at all. It's just that I feel that I got so focused on like proving to myself that I could create this business. I tried to model my business after other mentors and do what they
Ooh.
were doing. And anyway, so long story
It
short,
doesn't work that way.
yeah, it doesn't work that way. Like you can only get so far doing that. And I think that's probably when you and I met too, around that time frame. When you were in one of my courses, which is so cool because that means you really know me. And I
Yeah.
love that. I've actually hired other people that have been a client of mine, and then I become a client of theirs. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
a whole other good topic to talk about, like women working with each other and like
Yeah.
utilizing each other's services. But kind of at that time, probably when you and I first met, that's when I heard the word feminine energy and priestess, like back in 2015. And so then I got on this journey to understand my relationship with success and understand how that related to masculine feminine energy. My partner and I at the time talked a lot about the role reversal in our relationship. Like we were very aware of it. We weren't like, we weren't in the clouds about it, but I don't think we necessarily knew how to resolve it. But we tried. We definitely did try to work on that. And it just led me on this journey of finding a place where I could create success from um, from a softer place, from a spiritual place, from a place of being open and receptive and intuitive, and just stop like pushing so hard all the time.
Totally.
So, yeah. And then I guess that kind of leads then up to when we started working together. Um, so we became friends. We hung out a few times, and it was right when I moved in this house. So actually, it's like the 3-year anniversary of when I moved in this house. And I think that's right when we started having conversations about like, oh, like maybe you can help me because I had finished with a previous coach, and I was in a really difficult spot. Like I just left my relationship of 15 years. I just left my home of 17 years. My son, who was 24 at the time, he's 27 now, he just moved out of the house. And so now it was like my family of 4 was just me and my daughter and my dog in a new house in a new city. I mean, it was only 10 minutes away, but like different area, you know, different house. And let's see, I'm 46 in 2 weeks. So I guess I was like 42, 43. And I also just like hit massive perimenopause hormonal dysfunction.
Yeah.
And
So
so, of course,
major
I didn't
changes.
necessarily realize all that in that moment.
Well, you were so in it, and it was just a lot of changes at once while also
Yeah.
sustaining this business, serving your
Yeah.
clients, right?
Yeah.
Continuing to show up for that while also
Yeah.
having a lot you were navigating behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I think like that's something that you are so good at. Like something that you helped me with was I'm gonna cry, and that's okay.
Oh,
It just brings me back to such an emotional time. But I feel like there was 2 parts. Like you and I would dive into like the material I would like what was going on for me, like relationship stuff and all kinds of stuff, right? Just all the things emotionally. And then we would also do what something I do for my clients, which I really haven't had like surprisingly enough, there's not a lot of coaches that really coach in the way that you do.
hmm.
And you and I are kind of similar in a lot of ways, and that is like you can go really deep with the emotional stuff and you have that skill set, and then you would be like, okay, now let's strategize. And like, and I
Yeah.
love that because I like a lot of times we're so good at giving to other people. And you know, like you've seen how I work with people, I really do give at a high level, and sometimes you don't always find someone that has that bandwidth, and you definitely have that bandwidth. And so then we would like map out my launches and the strategies and what's the lead magnet or what's the conversion event, and like we would get nitty-gritty on the actual strategy, which was so helpful because, you know, I was kind of in a place, and I'm really grateful that I'm not like in that place. Like I'm probably like 90% out of that place.
I can
So thank
tell.
God. But I just remember it was hard for me in that time frame to what I call land the plane. And that's when you're usually in like your way unhealthy feminine,
Yeah.
typically is like you're in this like murky, muddy water. There's a lot of dysregulation, and it's like we would decide on something and then like a day
Change the
later I'd be like, well,
plans.
I can't do that, you know, and that's just not me. Like
Yeah.
I get my ideas and my downloads and I'm like, this is what we're doing. And I tell my team, I don't usually have a lot of this kind of like confusion or self-doubt. And so I feel like you were not only like an excellent business coach, but just like emotional lifeline of just trying to get through every day and every week. And like I said, I don't think I really understood that at the time. And it's so interesting because another thing that you helped me with is I had wanted to launch my feminine energy program.
Yeah.
And I had said 5 years. It's like so weird to me that 5 years went by, but I found a post that was 5 years old where I said, I am launching this thing. And I
Mm.
didn't end up launching it at that time. But when you and I started working together, that was like something that you really helped me like, okay, this is happening. And now I'm about to lead the third cohort
Mhm.
of the feminine energy
Yeah.
mastermind certification in
Yeah.
September.
That's
Um,
incredible.
yeah, yeah, like just you helped me birth that freaking baby into the
Yeah.
world.
Well, and if I can share, I think
Yes,
one of
please.
the things I see a lot is that as leaders, when we're going through periods of transition, we're oftentimes walking the murky waters in advance of our clients. And so the birth process happening as you're walking through it. So I remember that program was a lot, and I want you to talk about it, but it's a lot about like the merging of masculine and feminine
Yeah,
union within. And I think you were in a period of figuring out, okay, what's like the structure and the strategy that I need that feels supportive, and how do I deepen into my feminine intuition and my feminine knowing? How do you embody that and then show up confidently to be able to teach that to your clients?
yeah.
So you were, we were catching the baby as you were being the baby at the same time.
Yeah,
But truly, as leaders, we have to walk the same path that we're going to take our clients. And as leaders, we go first, and
yeah,
that can be challenging at times. I'd love to ask a question. So you said at that time, you were feeling a little bit murky and a little bit indecisive. What do you think that was coming from?
yeah. I feel like I have 10 answers on that one.
Mhm.
Okay, let me say one thing and then I'll get to the point or get to the answer of the question. But one thing that's interesting is when I was going through that and also launching that program at the same time, I'm so glad that I had studied trauma and somatics like the 2 years prior to that, or kind of in that same time frame, I guess. But for one thing, like I definitely was emotionally dysregulated without fully realizing the extent of it.
Mhm.
So I had taken these different trauma somatic certifications. My program also weaves a lot of those that education in there. So I mean, thank God I had some level of education. I mean, a lot of education, but I kind of look back and just go, gosh, if I hadn't have known what I knew, that would have been even scarier to go through that. And I think unless you've kind of gone through um, it's like a hormonal dump, really, like after you have a baby, postpartum, right? Adolescence. I had a lot of hormonal stuff then, which I didn't realize, but now looking back going, oh, maybe that's why I took depression medication when I was a
Yeah.
teenager, because my hormones went crazy and I didn't have like resources or support to figure that out then. Luckily now we have so much information about like women's hormones, but I do think like there was a couple things. So there was this hormonal dysregulation, which we could go, oh, okay, it's because you're 43. But I also think that it was something that I did in my relationship a lot was to compartmentalize. So my business was the thing that was my like sanctuary. And
Yeah.
so I poured myself into my business, my clients. I love my business. And I think once I got out of the relationship, I had the time and space to start processing all the things that I hadn't really processed, because in order to stay in the relationship, I had to cognitive dissonance, like start compartmentalizing. That's kind of the only way you can stay in a situation that you know is out of alignment for a really long time. So, and I mean, I have
Yeah.
a great relationship with my co-parent. I actually loved being married, and I could tell you like 20 million things that I loved about it and about that relationship, but like ultimately wasn't a healthy aligned relationship. And but I stayed and stayed and stayed, tried to like figure it out, try to fix it. And I think like once I came out of that, which is something you and I bonded over because I think you had come out of a relationship around that time. So like that's kind of
Mhm.
like where we started bonding, I think. And yeah, so it's like when you stuff things down for so long, which is something like I love helping women with, but in that moment it was like I needed the air mask on myself.
Yeah.
I needed the support, but like all that stuff started coming up for processing, and it just that combined with like a hormonal imbalance just was like and so I had a lot of anxiety. I felt so much self-doubt. And I've talked to other women kind of in my age range, perimenopause, and they're like, oh, yeah, I just, my self confidence went out the window. And
Yeah.
it's
And
such
you
a,
have been working on that for
right.
decades.
So it was
Right?
so weird to be like, not that, I mean, I always had different challenges, like, and I'm human, I'm always going to be working on different things, but I didn't expect
Hmm.
to be in that situation. I also didn't expect my business income to go on a little roller coaster. And a lot of my clients experienced that at the same time. And so then it was like the thing that was like my sanctuary now was feeling very clunky. I wasn't able to land the plane and like even decide on what I was focusing on each month. And and then I was having like anxiety and different things like that plus processing. So if that answers the question, but I think it was like an amalgamation of different things. And I guess like the lesson I learned from that is that, yeah, we do go through seasons. And I've been through so many seasons before, but honestly feel like this was like the hardest season, even though on paper I could write down things that were probably much harder that I went through. But I think because my emotional capacity and bandwidth was just fucking tapped at that
Yeah.
point,
Hmm.
that's why it was the hardest thing I've
Yeah.
gone through, you know?
Yeah.
Um,
Because
so
the emotions were the emotions were very wavy. It was big
yes.
waters and a lot to manage, and you're trying to lead a company at the same
And
time.
lead other people who are leading their companies. And it's
Yeah.
like, it,
And
so,
you're a mom.
and being a mom, yeah, being a mom and like, your kids are in transition as well. And
Yeah.
I guess I would just say like giving ourselves so much grace and like talking to other women who can relate and just knowing like I've been in the void space before, but never for never for quite this long. And also I kind of didn't really surrender. Like in the past, I really learned how to surrender into the void space before this time. I think that like it's really important we create safety, right? And so people that have learned about trauma and somatics, like they understand that. But I don't think I had a lot of safety at that point in time. And so it was kind of like really difficult to just surrender, and but again, I feel like I still learned that lesson. I would still give the advice like surrender as much as you can. I think that I also kind of went away from spirit, which was like the very thing that I was wanting like to sort of speak to me. And it's almost like I just talked to a friend yesterday who's gone through perimenopause, and she's like, yeah, I get it. Like suddenly spirit wasn't speaking as loud, or I couldn't hear it. But I also recognized that I wasn't also talking to spirit as much either. And
Mm,
so I
yeah.
feel like you definitely helped me to always come back in my body. Like
Yeah.
I needed someone to do that for me in every session. And that was like sometimes that was the only moment I really felt I was able to like drop in,
Mm,
because there was just so many different things going on and that's why I just think this work is so important, like the work that you do. And then, with the feminine energy program, like women need this level of like someone holding space, and the capacity that you have to, like, you're so insightful and wise, like the questions you would ask me, you know,
yeah.
so important.
Oh, thanks, Jessica.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I was able to be there with you. It was a challenging time, and I'm just so happy to see you just shining. I've been seeing you.
Yes.
Yeah, like you're doing so
She
good.
is risen.
She is risen, and you went down into the cave, man. Like
Yeah.
came out on the other side. It's interesting. I was thinking about you actually when I was in my postpartum period, and I had hormonal fluctuations as well, while also navigating sleep deprivation. And I mean,
Oh,
you've been, you're a mom, so you know what that's about. But the challenges, capacity wise, and making decisions are real, and we need people who can reflect back to us who we really are
yeah.
as we gather ourselves up into, what comes next. So,
Yeah. I think that's so important. And like just remembering that like when I was working with you, I had so much support.
yeah.
And I had like house cleaner and an assistant and this and that, a health coach. I had so many, I have way less now. Like I think that I was, in some ways that was helpful for me. And then in some ways, like I had 20 crutches, like I was just like fully on crutches. And now my capacity is, back to a large extent where I can, I can just do basic things. But I was like having so many different support people do just like basic things. And I think that we shouldn't feel guilty about that.
At
And we
all.
should like celebrate
Yeah.
um
And
having that.
that's a part of why, as women, we need to make big amounts of money as well,
Yeah.
because we need to be supported. We do go through these ebbs and flows at times. We do need different types of support, whether it's the house cleaner, the coach, the VA. You
Yeah.
have you have a couple team
Yeah.
members, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah, yeah,
do.
yeah. And I'm so glad that you were able to lean on those supports, because a lot of women don't, because they
Yeah.
don't know how to ask for help, or they feel guilty.
Yeah. That's one thing. I'm not sure how I learned that, because my mom isn't not like that. Like, I think in her mind, like it's kind of like, well, why would you get a house cleaner when you could just clean the house yourself, right? Like, and both my parents are CPAs. They're very frugal, so I get
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I'm not sure where I got that from, but my biological dad, he's been an entrepreneur his whole life, so I definitely like got that entrepreneurial DNA. And when I started my first business when I was 25, it was a franchise I bought into. Somehow back then, I figured out, I mean, I had personal assistants from when I couldn't even afford to have a personal assistant, but I always like had someone. And then when I started my coaching business, I had a VA from day one,
Mhm.
because I must have listened to someone really smart and did what they said.
Yeah.
But I just like, I realized that if I'm doing all this admin stuff that I don't even know how to do, then I'm like, I need to focus on, well, when I started my coaching business, I focused on like getting out there here in Seattle, like speaking, networking, meeting people, like attracting clients. And I
Mhm.
can't be at home doing like this, like building a landing page thing. I've got to like go out and do the money making activities.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've like, even in the beginning of my coaching business, my VA made more than I did. Like I didn't even pay myself, but I would, pay her every month. And I think that that's another important thing for women to learn, is just like you've got to be in your zone of genius.
Mhm.
And I felt like my business was so steady for so long and I was like in that place. And then like I guess when shit hit the fan and it was like time for me to dismantle like it was also identity, right? Like I had this whole other identity. Like when you're married, you're like done, check, not looking for a man, and like there's that. And then
Yeah.
there's like um there's all these different things that come in play, like thoughts about what it means to be like 46 or I'm going to be 50 in a few years. Like, what does that mean? And to be single and to be a single mom. But I don't feel like a single mom because I have like a very involved co-parent, but just to be like a single woman and be a parent and have a daughter, and you have a daughter now. So it's just like, all of these different things that we think about and kind of it feels like I'm on my third lifetime now because I have
Yeah.
two kids with two different dads. Like I had a kid when I was 18, then I had a kid when I was 34. I've had different businesses, and we get to just reinvent ourselves and kind of like give ourselves a lot of compassion and grace and figure out like, okay, who am I now? I thought I knew I think I thought to some extent I had it figured out, and then like realizing, oh no, 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 you don't have it figured out.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had the marriage, you had the successful business.
Yeah.
You did have it figured out until life just has its
Yeah.
chapters and it evolves. So I'm curious, if life were serving you up opportunities, why do you like what was there to learn about that period that you went through? Why do you think that you went through that? What were you here to
Yeah.
learn or grow through?
I mean, I will tell you that I don't have the full answer yet. I feel like it's still coming. I'm kind of like out of survival mode, emotionally, and just like I focus on my health so much and I'm feeling so much better, but I couldn't honestly say that I like figured it all out, but one thing that came to me recently
Hmm.
that has to do with like my relationship with like spirit, which has honestly been like the hardest part of that experience is just feeling such a disconnection. Um, I've learned like the biggest lesson I've learned is that like I had to really see the ways in which I turned away.
Hmm.
See the way like I knew I was doing self-abandonment. Like I knew some of the ways I was relating to myself wasn't like I wasn't there for myself in the way that I could be. But I also like recently have finally started to see like, okay, well, you also like you thought God turned away from you. Like there's a part of me that felt that and then realizing, well, you also turned away. And that's okay. Like that's okay because I understanding trauma as well as I do now, I understand why. And I think like that's something that's been it's like the silver lining or it's like the blessing because when
Hmm.
you get to learn something you feel like you've already learned or you get to like deepen into this understanding,
Hmm.
now you're going to be on a whole other level. You're going to teach it to others on a whole other level. You're going to like I know my journey in embodying like who I am and what I'm here to do and what I'm all about is going to go so much deeper now
Hmm.
that I've kind of gone through this other time period that was so difficult. If it's always easy,
Yeah.
you might not be learning as much. Not to say that it can't flow and feel good, but
Yeah.
life has contrast.
Absolutely. And the fact that you leaned into that contrast means you get to ripple those lessons out to your kids, out
Yeah.
to your clients,
Yeah.
right? Of what it is to be a powerful woman who lives like all of life and doesn't compartmentalize, you
Yeah.
know, who really
Oh,
open.
and like and love also like loving yourself when you're up and when you're down.
Absolutely.
Like when your health is good or your health is not good or your money's great, your money's not great. Like just some of the ways we define ourselves. And like I said, I felt that I had made so much growth in that area. And then to just be like, and we are going to be learning this on a deeper level. Okay. But I think that it helps me expand I mean, I had a really fucking big capacity. And I think
Yeah.
like everyone has a breaking point.
Mhm.
And if you push yourself and push yourself and push yourself and you try to be superwoman and you try to be like I always tell people it's like the curse of the capable. Just because you can doesn't, because I have a lot of clients like that, and I'm sure you do too. Like
Mhm.
really
High
capable
achiever.
people with high
Mhm.
capacity, and we do tend to attract situations where, you know, we end up caretaking or we end up taking the load for someone else.
Yes.
And and for me it was so hard to see that because I never saw myself as a victim. I'm like, I'm freaking strong person. Like, I'm not a victim. And yet I found myself in dynamics where I was taking the load and taking the brunt of everything, and it wasn't fair to me. And just to be able to like recognize like that's a trauma response in and of itself,
Mhm.
and just to start like unraveling that and like releasing that pattern for myself, which is like I'm still on the journey, but I definitely won't be in a relationship like that
Yeah.
where it's not like, and it's been so beautiful to see your relationship as well and just see healthy, and now I have a healthier like dynamic, you know, with my co-parent and my daughter's
Yeah.
dad, so which is like it's more of a, we're coming together and both bringing something to the table, which is a
Good.
lot easier. Like sometimes you just need to change the rules of the relationship and then it can be like a healthier relationship.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah.
what a gift to your daughter.
Yeah, yeah, I want her to learn, like I'm one of those people, like I'm so loyal, like I will just be with you to the bitter end.
Me too.
And like that's again, curse, blessing and a curse, like, and that's something that learning to say no, that doesn't feel good for me, that doesn't align.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of sneaky when you've been super hyper independent, like strong person.
Hmm.
It's kind of like a sneaky thing because you don't necessarily see yourself that way. But when you look back and see how you've interrelated in different relationships, even in business relationships, sometimes it didn't show up as much there, but definitely I saw it there too.
Hmm.
And just like learning that, yeah, like you have to stand up for yourself, you have to advocate for yourself, and also you can't lie to yourself. I think there was a lot of, for me, um my issue was that one of the big issues was being lied to, but then I realized, kind of lying to myself if I keep
Yeah.
telling myself that like this dynamic is okay, whether it's in
Yeah.
relationship or business, telling yourself that you're okay with something
Yeah.
that's really not healthy.
And one of the things that compounds that is when we're in a trauma response or when we're going through something and we're up in our heads a lot and we're so disconnected from our embodied
Yeah.
experience, we can use our minds to convince ourselves that we're okay. But if you
Yeah.
really tune into the body, you can feel how much your heart hurts or, what your womb is trying to tell you. We have to
Yeah.
go back into the body to hear those things. Um, so I'm curious about, when you talk about relationship to spirit, how did you end up getting back to a stronger relationship with your spirituality?
Yeah. I'm still working on it to get like, this is another lesson I've learned is like stop trying to get back to, like, I think I was trying to get my old body back. I
Yeah,
was trying to get my old whatever back, and it's like that's gone.
it's gone.
You don't live in that house. You're not
Yeah,
that age. You don't have that body. Like that's it. Like
yeah,
this is who you are now. And so and now I'm like really embracing and everything. But yeah, so I'm definitely still on the journey. But I mean, I would say some of it is just time. Time heals. That's a part of it. Like just to be totally honest, like I don't think there's a magic pill. I do think like time was a big factor. Like it's almost like I had to go through that. Some really practical things is like it's kind of random, but not random. I started eating a lot of protein. Like, there's things that I did health wise to just
yeah,
like stabilizing your blood sugar for some
yeah.
women could be a
Hmm.
miracle, right? It could
Yeah,
be like a total miracle. Working with your doctor on your hormones, like those basic things of like learning how your body works and taking care of your body, like I would say that's the thing I've put the most effort into. And you're obviously going to be more connected with spirit when
that's right.
you're in a healthy body. And you're like, I remember moving here, this is a townhome, so there's like all these stairs. When I first moved here I was like huffing and puffing. Now I'm running up and down, like I'm just such in a different physical condition than when I moved here 3 years ago. but just like recommitting to my health. And that was another identity because I was always like a gym person and like fit. But then there was all these years after having my daughter where I wasn't. And
Mm-hmm.
it literally, it's been 5 years actually that I've been on the journey to like, I just went to the gym this morning, went to walk, like, I've done, it's like, I don't think about it now. I don't really have to like get myself to do it.
Yep.
But during that time, like everything was kind of a struggle. And, I had a trainer, but I would never work out or lift weights unless I was with my trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to like, to answer your question, like I had to develop like habits
Yeah.
so that I could get healthier
Yep.
so that I could, be a vessel to like let spirit in and like,
Yes.
so
Yes. Yes.
yeah, health
Absolutely.
is wealth.
Yeah, health is wealth, and it's like from the ground up, right? It's like we have to be the vessel to receive more.
Yeah. I also did I think it was the first year I worked with you. I did a bunch of plant medicine ceremonies too. And I was just called to do that. That was in 2023. I was called to do that. I haven't done it really since.
Hmm.
But that was something else that gave me a little extra oomph and support to be able to really drop in and go inward and like get some. There was a lot of like crying, and which was good. Like it was very cathartic to like be able to let things come out. And so I know that's
Yeah.
not for everyone, but just going through several guided
Hmm.
mushroom ceremonies was something that I found helped me, especially at a time when I was kind of having a hard time
Yeah.
struggling. I've also thought recently like I might start going to the Center for Spiritual Living again because I love that. It's like kind of non-denominational and it's just like they share messages from spirit and just like getting back into your community of spirituality if you have one or
Mhm.
if you don't have one, creating one has been something that I'm like I think I need to do that again or like have a little bit more of a formal place that I might like to go to. I've kind of been someone that goes to church off and on my whole
Mhm.
life. But yeah, that's definitely something like I used to do so many rituals and then when I went through this transition, I still did some rituals, but just not as many. And I think like everything else, sometimes if you just like I always say clarity comes from action. If you just do it, like sometimes you have to put one foot in front of the other
Yeah.
and just do it. Like pull a tarot card or, meditate for 5 minutes,
Mhm.
just taking that action.
Yeah, and seeing what feels correct for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, like feeling
everything.
into it. I've done a lot of somatic, like tons of somatic sessions too. I think that um like when I was kind of in these trauma responses, I just really wasn't open to my connection with spirit in those
Yeah.
moments. And it kind of hurts and it makes me feel sad, but at the same time, I get it. I was just maxed out to the max. And
Yeah.
that's like a big lesson for me of my capacity, but also like I want to use my capacity in a different way.
Mhm.
I don't want to use my capacity to stretch myself to endure things that
Amen.
are not aligned for
Yeah,
me.
absolutely. And learning how to provide that for yourself while not being in a relationship, right?
Yeah, totally.
So that was also building some new muscles for yourself of how do you maintain your well-being? How do you maintain the business? How do you be a mother? How do you stay connected spiritually? Those are it's a completely different realm doing that, while single.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's just different,
It's
especially
different.
when you thought you were like kind of settled or there was this piece that you're like, okay. And
Yeah.
then it just opens up a whole other possibility of like, well, now what's going to
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah. And you're doing great. Well, I loved working together, and I wanted to chat a little bit about that time that you came out to Boise and we did
Yes.
our VIP because I think that was my favorite time in our year plus of working
Yeah.
together was you coming out here. Uh,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
what was that like for you?
It was amazing. I do have to say there was another time when you came here and we got together and
Oh,
that was
that's true.
just like that again,
At the garden.
lifeline moment of like you just hugging me and like I just yeah, like you're the way that you coach people is that like they are in your heart, and you're like, you treated me like a family. So just thank you.
Oh,
But yes, when I came to visit you,
yeah.
you took me salsa dancing, which
I
was
did.
awesome, like total embodiment work. Like that was so fun. That was one of my favorite parts, just like trying to let loose and kind of like just get out there and
Yeah,
like learning, yeah, just kind of learning to be led. I mean, that's something with like that type of dance.
yeah,
I'm used to leading all the time, so I think that's like such a beautiful experience. So we did that, and then you took me to the hot springs,
yeah.
which was so amazing. So I was there in winter.
Yeah.
So we're like walking along this little path, and there's like snow and mountains and like a stream, a river, river going by. And then we're kind of up on the side of the mountain or the hill in these little hot
Like,
tubs, like
yeah,
natural
little
hot
natural
tubs.
hot tubs. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're hot, but like
Yeah.
they're, there's hotter. We found some good ones. There was some that were like really hot, and then we
Yeah.
just like got to hang out in there,
Yeah.
talk about like, what do you desire? What do you want? Like just working through things
Yeah.
while we have this view of the mountain and the river and the snow. And like, I mean, that was pretty surreal.
It was so
Like
beautiful.
the best VIP day ever. It was so
It was
amazing.
insane. Yeah, and I feel
Um,
like being in nature, like feminine women flow different, and then you start getting
yeah.
all these ideas, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this is who I am. This is what I want to do.
Yes. Yeah, and then we took like a really nice long walk. I can't remember the name of that park, but that was, I think, on our last day. And just,
Yeah,
I mean, I think the way that you hold people and like kind of like, I'm doing this, like it's almost like you corralled me, which I really needed at that time. You were
okay.
like my bumpers on like the bowling alley bumpers, like more than that. You're more than that. But I'm just saying that was an aspect of it where I just felt like you were able to guide me and
Oh,
just kind of like weather the weather the storms with
yeah,
me and like kind of gently bring me back into focus, which was like pretty difficult at that time to really just stay locked in on something.
yeah.
And
But you
yeah,
still launched
I
your program.
huh?
You still launched your
Well,
program.
yeah, I do have to give myself, I mean, I launched the program. I did a bunch, like the thing is I do have a high capacity. I did a shit ton of things. And
Yeah,
like I accomplished a lot during our
you
time
did.
together,
Yeah,
despite
yeah,
like looking back, would I have even done any of that without all of our sessions and support? I don't think so. I think it would have been really, really even
yeah.
more messy. And that's the other thing is like when you're leading people, you're not trying to put your whole mess out there constantly. And
Right.
so like you need someone to hold you at a high level and like see
Mhm.
who you are. And it was really nice that you had actually known me
Yeah.
before, but also sort of embarrassing because I was like, and now the curtain is opened and you can just see all my guts inside. But
Yeah.
like that's the other thing is like I always felt so safe with you and just
Mhm.
you were able just to see the whole picture and not just like the broken, not that I was broken, but like for lack of a better term, like the broken parts that was just like
Oh,
such a unraveling mess. And I feel like you were able to just be like, and we're holding the vision here, and it's
yeah.
okay for you to like be on the floor and just
Yeah.
it's okay to not be okay, and we're moving forward.
Yeah. It's okay to be both.
Yeah,
And
both
I
and
knew we stayed connected to like your vision and what a powerhouse you are. And you're human. You go through tough times. I've been through them too, and we have to hold each other with compassion. And I
yeah.
think one of my biggest like honors of doing this work is to have somebody like you trust me with your mess. You know? So I
And
think
I
and
did.
you
I was just
did.
like,
You're
here
like,
you
here.
go. What do you think of this?
Like, we'll just sweep this under here. No,
Right.
I'm kidding.
No, no, yeah. No, you helped me like we tried to clean things up. And also it was just like it was a process, and
Yeah.
I've definitely coached people. Like I have so much more compassion too for my clients because I'm like I've
Yeah.
coached people during these times, and just to like to not give up on your clients and just to be like keep reminding them and showing like leading them towards where they want to go. And that's the other thing is like we had very productive meetings, like where we like we deal with things, but then we would focus. And like, I mean, I really needed that.
Yeah.
It's so helpful. It's like we'd have our like CEO meetings and we'd get focused. And even if I would like fall apart after and change my, oh, now I don't want to do this, whatever. It's like eventually we would like it would get on track. You know, sometimes I was in such an indecisive mode that I would have like multiple iterations, whereas thank God I'm pretty good now. Like I'm more decisive again now how I used to be. There's still some wobble at times, but it's not like to that extent. And I remember like I don't know, I hadn't been in that space since I was like a new coach. And so I kind of forgot what it's like for people. But again, it just reminded me of why like the somatic and feminine energy embodiment work, trauma work, why I'm passionate about it,
Yeah.
because I can spot it now. If
Yeah.
I'm coaching someone and for 5 sessions in a row they're not doing something they say they're going to do, they're probably in a trauma response. I
Yeah.
mean, I can catch it before the 5th session now, but you know, so just recognizing like they're not a bad client, they're not being a bad student, or there's not like what's wrong with them. No, it's like now I can educate them and be like, hey, like let's really get under the hood of like what's going on, and I can refer them out for specific
Yes.
types of trauma, you know, support. And I think that's like I know it's become more of a thing in the coaching industry, but I think it's like really, really needed. People that have that ability to like call it out and be like, hey, like let's look at this piece because this is like deeper than just you're just not doing what you said you're gonna do.
Because usually what it is, I don't know about for you, but in my experience, it's kind of like we have multiple parts to ourselves, and we can have this sort of put together self or high self that has this higher vision, but there's another aspect that's very afraid,
Yeah.
sometimes frozen, sometimes, scared of putting themselves out there or whatever it is that they're feeling fearful of. And we need to be able to get the different parts of ourselves to talk and get in the
Yes.
room so that we can act from an integrated place.
Yeah. Yeah. Bring them into integration and
Yeah,
alignment, and everything's so much easier
yeah,
from that place. And I remember just thinking at that time, like, oh, we used to be in flow. And it's like, and again, it's like I did have to realize like that was then.
yeah,
Stop trying to figure out why you were that way then. The reality is like, well, I was compartmentalizing all the really difficult things and not processing them. So I thought, I mean,
of
not to
course
say
it
that
would
I
be
wasn't
painful.
like, I was in a kind of a flow, I guess, but the reality is I was not addressing this whole other aspect of my life that, you know,
Yeah,
so now, like, as I am integrating and will continue to integrate, it's going to be that much deeper, and I'm going to have
yes,
more like I kind of see my future self. And I love working with archetypes, so I like see like the wise woman and the crone, and I'm like kind of getting towards that age, and it's like
yeah.
I see who I'm stepping into, but this like messy middle just
Mhm.
ended up being multiple years, which I didn't
Yeah,
anticipate. But that's the beauty of our seasons. And you
absolutely,
know,
absolutely. Yes, and I would love for you to be able to talk a little bit more about your work, the archetypes, the seasons you guide women through, and about how like, women who are listening can follow your work and
okay.
get involved.
I would love that. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. I would say, as far as just kind of where to find me, would be my website, jessicariverson.com, and then also on Instagram. I'm sharing a lot there. So at Jessica Riverson. I guess what I would talk about right now is the thing I'm, you know, launching and that's starting in the fall is the feminine energy mentorship, or mastermind certification. And like I said, you helped me birth
Mhm.
that baby, and now it's the 3rd year in a row. And this
Mm,
year we have people repeating, which is not
mm.
something I anticipated, that people would say, I want to take it again.
That's
That
beautiful.
actually, yeah, it makes me so happy. So it's a
Oh,
mastermind first and a certification second. And the reason it's a mastermind first is because, excuse me, it's a journey. So it's a 90-day mastermind. It's a journey into your experience as a woman. So we definitely look at masculine, feminine energy. You know, what is your paradigm of success, and like recreating that as a feminine paradigm of success. Like for me, it was making money and being outwardly successful in my business. And now I realize it's not just that. That's maybe a piece of the puzzle. Yes, you want to make great money in your business, but having time freedom, working with clients you love, putting out offers that you love and not offers that you think I have to put this offer out because it will sell. And so in the program, we go through a deep exploration on every call where, and it's like so cool because women of different ages, like 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, coming
Mm.
in and just sharing like how they learned to be a woman and like what does it mean to be a woman, how like what is pleasure, what is desire, what are boundaries, what is how do you feel in your body? Like there's so many parts of ourselves that that have been frozen or stuffed
Yeah.
down. So that's kind of like in a
Whew.
nutshell, the journey is like we're kind of bringing all this stuff to the surface as we go through the mastermind. So that's kind of the main purpose is for the clients to have their own journey, their own exploration, reclaim their sensuality, their pleasure, maybe their wild side, reconnect with their inner wise woman, reconnect with the mother, the maiden. So we go through all those different aspects. And then the certification part of it is optional. It doesn't cost more. Some of the students do it, some of them don't, but it gives you, you know, a certificate of completion. And that side of the program is where another wonderful Megan Hart is my co-teacher, and she brings in a lot of like the nervous system awareness. We go through understanding attachment styles,
Mm.
you know, the functional freeze and all those different aspects and, you know, different types of somatic and embodiment work. So you get like the whole somatic library, embodiment library.
Wow.
And I think the biggest just kudos to you helping me with this because you're part of it is now I've had so many women that have taken the program. They'll say to me, like, I have a great testimonial on the page that one woman said, my clients are getting such better results now because I'm getting them out of their head, I'm getting them into their body, and I have all of these tools to use now to help them. And their breakthroughs are lasting, they're having like permanent change, and it's all because of doing the somatic embodiment work and even like teaching their clients about nervous system. And another client, I have a little visual here because it just happens to be sitting here, but we have these archetype cards.
Mm.
This is the wise woman.
That's cool.
So a little show and tell, but Megan created these. And so another client just did a retreat in, or no, she's about to do a retreat in Sedona, and she's like bringing these
Oh, cool.
archetype cards. And so like just to see that this has all come together and that people are like using the techniques. And I think after being in the coaching industry for like 20 years, it's kind of cool to create a body of work that now other coaches can
Yeah.
go and not
Yeah.
only have an experience for themselves, but then by the end of it go, and now I have all these tools to bring into my work. And I know you have like all these tools, but a lot of coaches don't, you know, a lot of, especially business coaches or
Yeah.
even a health coach or a relationship coach, they don't have these tools. And the conversations we have in there, most of the time the women have never been asked the questions that we asked or never like
Mm.
contemplated their experience as a woman in the way that we
Wow.
ask the questions. And so yeah, it makes me so happy and honored to have finally launched it and now be in the third
And
year, and all that's on my website. So
and people coming back, and
yes.
I'm so emotional hearing that just the impact that that's making. Like that's
Yeah.
real legacy work where your
Yes.
work is now passing into the hands of other healers and business owners who are using that with their folks too and helping women be more embodied.
Yes. Yes. And I know
Woo!
that's like you're so all about that. So I just want to thank
Yeah,
you
I love it.
for like, yeah, I mean, you're part of that legacy because you helped me get it off the ground and all. And like you said earlier at the beginning of the call, like because of where I was at that time, I mean, I could have said like, this is the worst time for me to launch this. Like I am completely falling apart, but like I was able to launch it while
Yeah.
going through my own stuff because I had support. I had you and I had other support people,
Yeah.
and so I was able to do that both and where it's like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm going through something, but I can still teach and lead.
Yes.
I think as long as we're doing our own work, we're in integrity, you know. If we're getting help and getting support, that doesn't mean that we can't, you know, serve others at the same time,
Of course.
which was very humbling too, just to be like, I had a lot of clients that I shared different things I was going through and just seeing people want to hire me after like I think that I thought like if you know all the things I'm going through, you won't want to work with me, you know? And it's in reality, my ideal client, my soulmate clients love to work with me even when they know, oh, she's gone through this and she's gone through that. They actually go, wow, she's really human.
Yeah.
And I want to work with her. And that was like very humbling too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Jess, I love you so much. Thank
I
you
love
for
you too.
coming
Thank
onto the
you.
podcast. Is there anything else you wanted to share before we close?
Just that I adore you and everyone should hire you who's been thinking about hiring you and should have you be their coach, and their life will be so much like infinitely better, and their business will grow, and you will not find someone that's going to support you to the level and like have the care and like detail and
Mm,
follow through and just everything. Yeah, you're an incredible mentor.
thank you, Jess.
You're
I'm
welcome.
speechless. I really can't say those words. They mean the world to me. All right, babe. Well, we're going to have your links in the show notes so that if you want to
Awesome.
check out Jessica's work, follow her on Instagram, follow her on Facebook, check out the Feminine program. The Feminine, can you repeat the name again?
Feminine Energy Mentor Mastermind. No, it's quite a
It's a long name, but it's
mouthful.
F-E-M.
F.E.M. is all you need to remember. Yeah.
F-E-M. It's
Jessica
such a cool program.
Riverson.com.
I definitely recommend checking it out. And
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Hi, lovely. Really quick before you go, it would mean the absolute world to me if you found value in today's episode, if you would take a minute to leave a 5-star review for the podcast. This is going to help other powerhouses like you to be able to find it. Also, I love interacting with my listeners, so I would love to know more about what you thought about today's episode. If you take a screenshot and share it to your Instagram stories and tag at Megan W. Taylor, it's going to notify me, and I actually love to reshare your posts with my audience as well. With that, thank you so much for being a listener, and I'm wishing you a beautiful, productive, happy, sexy, lucrative week, and I will see you on the next episode.